Hi, I'm Tony Russo, and this is In Case You Missed It from Kates-Boylston for the week ending Friday, March 28th, 2025. We've got a ton of great stuff to talk about this week. We're going to talk about Poul Lemasters taking over as interim president as Jack Lechner resigns from the Cincinnati College of Mortuary Science, and BioResponse got a boost from Boomerang Capital, which has invested in that aquamation company. And there has been a recent development in a body mishandling scandal that is absolutely worth talking about. We also saw an interesting story out of Australia about another way to do green funerals. And of course, Parting Stone has been in the news, not just for its 10,000th customer who has used its services, but also because it got a little love in one of these alt burial stories from the Post, the New York Post. And we want to talk about how that kind of applies more broadly to the idea of getting memorialization in general out there. And along those lines, we're going to talk about NOR in Georgia and NOR in Louisiana, one place where it pretty much is and one place where it definitely isn't. There's a ton more stuff that we're going to get into. But first, let's hear from our sponsor for the week. That is Passages International. Looking for a way to honor your loved one while honoring the planet? Passages specializes in eco-friendly funeral products made from renewable, biodegradable materials. Whether it's a stunning willow casket, a biodegradable urn for scattering, or their unique memorial keepsakes, Passages helps create meaningful goodbyes that tread lightly on the earth. Join the movement toward greener funerals. Visit passagesinternational.com and discover how you can celebrate a life while protecting the planet for generations to come. Link in the show notes. So this is a little bit of a peek behind the curtain, but I am reporting to you at about 2 o'clock on Thursday morning. I moved up my recording in hope of catching the baseball game today. I am a Mets fan, and it is opening day Thursday as I record this. And it's amusing for this story because I spoke with Poul Lemasters, who is a Cincinnati Reds fan and also missing his first opening day in a long time as he tries to finish up his work for the week. He had a way busier week than I did. So I spoke with him because Jack Lechner resigned. He's been the president of the Cincinnati College of Mortuary Science for the last 9 years, and he's done a notable job. They have been in American Funeral Directors several times for innovations that they've accomplished. But earlier this year, there was a kerfuffle of some sort, and it's not something that I'm going to be able to report on too much because it's a lot of, hearsay, I guess, on my part. But the shortest version was that there were some dismissals at the college that the students did not like. And they started a petition, and they went after the college president. And that has been going on and off for the last 3 months. And I guess the best way to say it is it seems as if Mr. Lechner resigned mostly so that things could continue on at the college without the distraction of him being, kind of a source of strife, I think is probably the best way to put it. I'll have a little bit of a better report for Funeral Service Insider subscribers in the Sunday column if you want to check that out. And I spoke with Poul, who is, if you're not familiar with him, he's one of the leading legal voices in the industry. He has testified and will testify again at the FTC about the funeral rule and the different changes that are coming up. He talks a lot about chain of custody, his dead ringers kind of side deal there, helps people make sure that they're answering the phones correctly. He's just a genuinely good guy, and genuinely good for funeral service, and genuinely not going to be the next real president of the Cincinnati College of Mortuary Science. He, in our conversation, he told me he was a student there and he graduated from there. And it's, it's cool to come back and, and to be able to help a college that not only you went to, but you succeeded at. And he was a very successful mortuary school student. But he has other things that he wants to do, and running the college now is not at the top of his list. They have already put together a search committee, and they're looking for people to replace Mr. Lechner. Paul said he hopes to be the shortest tenured interim president in the history of Funeral Service. Like I said, there's not a link in the show notes, but if you're a subscriber to Funeral Service Insider, I'll have a little bit more reporting on it in the Sunday column. And if you would like to subscribe, we are running all sorts of specials now. You can find that at the website. And if you would like to subscribe but don't have the cash, or you just want to see this story, you absolutely can read it for free for just the cost of your email address. We have some free stories to kind of test drive the site, and this one might be worth using that for. Anyway, link in the show notes. So BioResponse Solutions has received a cash infusion from a company called Boomerang Capital, and I want to read to you from the press release, which is really all I have for now. Boomerang Capital is a lower middle market healthcare private equity firm committed to fostering creative investment partnerships with healthcare entrepreneurs across North America and Western Europe. And so it's easy to see what makes BioResponse such an attractive investment for venture capital. I mean, it is a rising kind of disposition that reimagines the way that disposition can be done. I've always been a huge fan of aquamation since I first started reporting on it 3 years ago when I got into the business. Cremation is cremation, and I'm supporting cremation. I'm supportive of cremation and of building crematories. And similarly, I am supportive of natural organic reduction and of building natural organic reduction facilities. But what I find attractive about aquamation is that it is compact. So in cities where it's illegal to build any more crematories, aquamation is a good solution for small places that can have a self-contained disposition method beyond burial, in addition to burial. And so it really seems like a no-brainer to me. And I like to think that this is kind of a signal that maybe Indiana will be the 29th state to approve aquamation, and kind of it's got to be really hard to say this is not legal where we live. It's like almost like Jack Daniels, right? The rumor is that you can't buy Jack Daniels where it's made because it's still in a dry county. I've never been to Tennessee for long enough to find out, but that's what I've heard. And I guess aquamation's kind of the same way in Indiana. It'd be lovely to see that not be the case anymore. But I have reached out to all of the relevant parties, and I hope to have some actual legitimate reporting for you in the next week or so in Funeral Service Insider. But right now, there is a link to the announcement in the show notes. I got a chance this week to speak with Ryan Reyes, who is the president of Dignity Solutions. It's a consulting company. I did kind of a deep dive feature on him for the upcoming issue of Funeral Service Insider, but the reason that I wanted to bring that up to you is he was the one responsible for getting LinkedIn to add funeral service as a profession. Like, if you have a funeral industry business, you can now list your business as being part of a funeral industry, which you couldn't do a couple of weeks ago. Actually, you can't do it today, but you'll be able to do it soon. Beginning on April 1st, I believe it will be an option, and they'll be rolling it out through May, with May as like the official launch date. And I go into this in the story a little bit. So again, if you're a subscriber, make sure you check out the story. But he was talking about how the conversation, the back and forth between him and LinkedIn, including LinkedIn president, kind of opened their eyes to how much last responders, in LinkedIn's words, are represented on the site and ought to have the opportunity to kind of drill down into even smaller niches. So funeral service is going to be one of the several end-of-life, death care, last responder professions that you can choose as what your business does. You'll have to watch them as they roll out. There is a short list in Funeral Service Insider, but you can check out the whole thing in the show notes. For this week, I saw a great story out of Australia about a different kind of green cemetery. And if you may have heard of it, the cemetery is not new, but there was a large feature on it, and the feature was great and well written and free to read, and there is a link in the show notes. But what I got a kick out of was just the kind of next level green burial attitude. I think what I said when I shared the story was, I will see your conservation forest and raise you one vertical green cemetery. So we have heard of vertical burial, but a green cemetery where shrouds are used. It's not, these aren't mausoleums, and these aren't columbariums. They are regular cemeteries. They're just huge open spaces, or this one particular is a huge open space where they use a drill, kind of like you were drilling for water or for oil to make the hole, and they bury the people in shrouds and standing. And it is better land use, and it is natural burial. And at the front of the cemetery, there's just a list of who's in there and where they are. And I got a huge kick out of it. I got a kick out of it because I love the idea that people are still, whatever, a million years into burying our dead, we're still trying to find ways to make it more meaningful and more personal to us. And I love that in this particular time, people are changing their attitudes from, how lavish a funeral they could have to how different a funeral they can have. Or many people, maybe who, like me, who aren't going to be able to afford lavish funerals, but want people to come away from their funeral saying, oh, I've never been to a funeral like that. Can you believe? Like, these are the kinds of things that get people talking and envisioning what they want to do for their own memorialization. So anything that is new and different, anything that causes positive discussion. There's always going to be a negative Nelly out there, but interested discussion about how one person wants their final goodbye to be is worth supporting and worth getting excited about. So there's a link to the story in the show notes. It's a great story. It's well written. It's kind of a long feature, but absolutely worth the read. And if you have, I've checked, I cannot find any other instances of vertical ground public burials that are also green burials. If you do one of those, or if you know of one of those, please reach out. I would love to do a story if there's one here in the US that works like that. But there is a link to the story in the show notes. So kudos to Justin Crowe over at Parting Stone. Earlier this month, there was a press release that they put out that said that they had served their 10,000th family, and that was cool and fine. We shared it, as we are wont to do. But the New York Post, I guess, also got that and decided that they wanted to do more of a feature on it. So this week they ran a feature on parting stone and used it as kind of a way in, again, as I just mentioned, to talk about the different methods of disposition. So, having stones is one of them. There was someone who does tattoo ink in the story made from cremated remains. So again, for us as an industry, as long as there's like consumer media coverage of the wealth of possibilities, all that I guess the funeral industry has to do is meet those asks positively. Like, can I get turned into ink? Sure you can. Let's find out how. Can I have my tattoos permanently put onto frames when I die? Yes, you can. Let's look into it. So there are all of these questions that people increasingly are going to have, and I think positive answers to them, a wide open, well, let's see what we can do. Let's reimagine your funeral from your perspective is, again, like I just said, I literally just said it a couple minutes ago, only good for the industry. So, congratulations to the folks over at Parting Stone, and good luck to them. Continued good luck, I guess, in the future. I'll link to that story and a couple of others like it in the show notes. For the third week in a row, a state where natural organic reduction is not legal ran a story about the possibilities of being transferred to do natural organic reduction. And I wanted to send this out because I think it may have been a missed opportunity. Usually these stories are from the perspective of a funeral home owner who explains how this works. In Louisiana, that was not the case. This was a story where they clearly could not or did not try to find someone to talk about natural organic reduction. So really, this is just a reminder, if someone calls from the local paper about natural organic reduction, the answer is yes, of course you offer it, kind of. You just have to help arrange for the transport of the body. And that's what it says in this story. It's just a shame that a local funeral home missed out or wasn't given the opportunity to kind of elaborate and explain from a funeral director's perspective how this works. What prompted this story was the Georgia House of Representatives has passed natural organic reduction for the state. It has gone to the governor's desk for a signature as of the 27th of March. When I'm recording this, it has not been signed yet, but it is expected to be signed. If the governor signs it, it will be a law on July 1st, and we will continue to follow up on that, but there's a link to everything in the show notes. In case you missed it, has been a Kates-Boylston production. It was written and edited by me, Tony Russo. If you enjoyed the show, please follow us wherever you're listening now. Hit the bell if you're on YouTube. Follow if you're on Apple. Subscribe every place else. If you can hear it, you can subscribe to us on it. If you have any feedback, you can send me an email. At the bottom of this post, you will find a link to my email address, and you can send your feedback there, or you can send me a voicemail. You can call at 732-746-0233, extension 709. That is 732-746-0233, extension 709. If you don't want me to play your feedback on the air, just say so, and I won't. Otherwise, I'd be happy to share it. And that will do us for this week. We will check in with you next time.